Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, but It Ain't No Theory. And today's episode is going to be number 43. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing gang stalking, plus surviving the New World Disorder, per usual. Surviving manufactured chaos, surviving manufactured karma. My name is Adrienne Alese. I'm the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair, Part 1, 2, and now 3. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS system, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. This program is a dedication to the targeted individual community. They work really hard. Gang stalking, these gang stalking hypersimulations work really hard to make sure that targeted individuals and targeted audiences don't have a sense of community. So, however, I'm going to be focusing today primarily on, I think I'm going to do a little bit on abuse by proxy. And of course, I'm just going to pick up right where I left off from the last show to more or less go over and review my experience with this gang stalking hypersimulation and basically more or less what's been going on in my life, in my personal life, and to just update everybody on how I've been dealing with this and how I've been doing generally. Alright, so on my last episode, on episode number 42, I believe, I reviewed technology-enabled coercive control. It's called TECC for short. You guys are welcome to do your own research in regards to that. If you're interested in more information, you can find information about that, more information about that online. I believe it's available on Google for free. So if that's something you're interested in researching for yourself, or fact-checking, or whatever, you know, the information is always available. Everything that I share on my program is always available for free online. And the reason why I mentioned the last episode now is because technology-enabled coercive control is also a form of electronic harassment. So it goes hand in hand, and the two are besties, I guess, if you will. And it also plays in and ties into MK Ultra PsyOps. As you'll see, one of my posts from last night on HBO Max, there is a newly released movie called Reality. Now, I'm not sure if this is the name of the girl or not, but I haven't watched the whole movie, but I watched enough of it to know that this is a part of the individualized or customized punishment action plan. This is just another branch of the PSYOP and how they're trying to use technology in order to enable coercive control. And in the movie Reality on HBO Max, the FBI basically are forcing this person to, I guess, be put away. It's basically another conspiracy. It's a movie about another conspiracy. This girl leaked some sensitive data, apparently, and they used, I guess they charged her with, like, the greatest sentence or whatever, which is very much so the case. This is happening in real life. That's why I'm being gang stalked. It's a prison without walls, so to speak. And so, you know, I'm not allowed to leave. I'm not allowed to go anywhere without being stalked, harassed, and then ultimately punished. And that's what makes it a technology-enabled Holocaust. Because if I were to report these stalkers that work for this militia group, this terrorist clandestine syndicate crime family, if I were to report them, I wouldn't get anywhere except for I'd be admitted to the psych ward like I have been in the past. And so I'm gonna be doing my best to try to stay as transparent as possible, and to just try to more or less explain how deep-seated this corruption scandal is, and how the invisible weapon that is being used against us is the technological device itself. All right, so I don't know if anybody else happened to catch the movie Reality on HBO Max, but I knew that the second I seen it, this was just more of their way of trying to blackmail me. Also, by the way, it's really interesting. I would like to just mention this before I possibly forget, how they try to almost like they make these movies. This has been going on for years now, so this isn't the first time I've experienced this weird phenomenon. They make these movies about a specific target, or let's say ghost producer, because that's a name that I created, because this is what happens when they soulscape and energy harvest. Essentially, you have a slave or a prototype who isn't getting paid at all, not even 1 penny. But this person is actually doing all the work. All of the movies and all of the propaganda is about this one person's life and or struggle. So this specific movie on HBO, I knew instantaneously was just another one of their forms of, let's say, blackmail, okay? And because, of course, when you phish somebody, when you hack them, and you have spies leak all of their data by the means of fishing, spear fishing, whale fishing. I mean, this is like such a huge water leak and such a huge data dump. Every single person's device is just like a giant ocean of information that's just constantly pouring out with no security or border or any type of, oversight to protect the owner of the device itself from being exploited or trafficked or having a pattern of racketeering or being a victim of extortion. So this is a very, very, very serious corruption scandal. I will continue to do my best to cover this, as well as I continue to deal with these people who seemingly have to know where I'm at all times, so they can so they can try to curse me with their evil eye, because that's all they really do, other than, I will say, the abuse by proxy. And now when I say that they've infiltrated into the hotel, motel, it's because they do. Somehow they are either mind controlled or literally called on the phone and asked to perform these like street theater, live action role plays, abuse by proxies, little like protest campaigns. So they're definitely being alerted by people in wherever I go. It doesn't matter if I stay at a hotel or if I'm staying camping out in the sand dunes. Another one of the things I wanted to mention is how everything I do is automatically synchronized with the system. So every single thing that I do in my real life is propagated into the system and into the mainstream media or entertainment, news, stuff like this. It doesn't matter if I fart, literally. It doesn't matter how trivial or how simple I live. It's almost like the more I suffer and the more I struggle, the more that is leaked, that information and that data is exploited. So very, very interesting. But I wanted to mention that in the news this past week, I do believe that it was Donald Trump's birthday. And I just wanted to say happy birthday before I forget, okay? And then also, too, I know it's technically probably late, but that's how I roll. I'm always a day late and a dollar short, so please forgive me for that. But so happy late birthday. And then, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because supposedly Donald Trump went to jail this week. He actually went to jail on I think the day before his birthday or something like that. I'm probably not 100% on that, but I'm somewhere in the ballpark. So, but whatever, forgive me. But bear with. So I had heard somewhere in the news this week that Donald Trump went to jail. And I think this is probably some sort of like spiritual symbolism, or just some sort of kind of like silent little alliance. I think he did that maybe just to show, maybe to prove, this is my theory, okay? Just to show, maybe to prove that he is supporting all of the people that have been attacked by this gang stalking hypersimulation, excuse me, and all of the people who have been just speaking truth and who are either getting locked up or getting conspired against, you know, all these horrible things that are happening to really, really good, honest people. And you know, you can't really ask or expect much more out of a human being under these horrible circumstances that we've been forced into, other than, you know, honesty and loyalty and trustworthiness. And, you know, if a person doesn't even have that, what do they have? I mean, seriously. So in my opinion and in my theory, I took that as a, like, kind of like a, I don't know, like you know, a little badge of loyalty to his supporters, to his fans, maybe even to his little, I don't even know, what would you call it? Because I don't have fans, so I don't know. His fan base, maybe. But I've never voted for Trump. I just wanted to say that as well. I've never voted for any political leader other than myself, because I'm smarter than that. I've always kind of known that our vote doesn't ultimately matter. It doesn't really matter. But to just briefly go over how these movies are, in my opinion, it's almost like if these movies are created in an attempt to hopefully have them manifest or materialize in the target's real waking life. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the gang stalkers this week have been wearing orange shirts, and it's also to just kind of like another spiritual symbol or symbolism that they're trying to, you know, do this energy transfer where I will do something or say something that will eventually have me locked up. And this very much so could be the idea. And maybe I am interpreting it wrong, excuse me. But this is how they tend to do it. So when they're mocking, exploiting, doing their black magic rituals, it'll come off a lot of times, more often than not, as like because we're being manipulated, because the target is being manipulated. It'll appear as an alliance, or, you know, as a this, something sweet, something, you know, something super nice and something kind. But in all actuality, it's fucking super evil. Underneath the surface, once you scratch, it's like a lottery ticket, you know, obviously a losing one, but you got a lottery ticket, you scratch the surface off, and it's nothing but losing numbers underneath there. So that's what it feels like when you're being deceived and manipulated and basically played, because people think it's funny now, you know. People honestly think it's funny to get a reaction out of me. It's like, that's what they are dedicating so much time to stalking me and to harassing me, maliciously harassing me. And these are all cops, or supposedly these are all cops. So, and then, you know, and some of them are so-called psychologists. So, I mean, in order to fully, you know, like clean house, or I don't know what you would want to say. I don't really know how else to put it. But in order to get to the root of the situation and get the infestation, the inside infestation out, you know, you would have to clean house in the police department, every aspect of the police departments, the, you know, Department of Defense, the the medical industry. All of these people are so corrupt. All I've been doing is sitting back watching these people show and prove how insecure and corrupt they are. And all I do is speak my truth. That's it. So, you know, and they've been sitting over here, you know, exploiting me for everything. I guess what you would technically call this is somebody being taken to the cleaners. And, oh, they love it. The only reason why, like, the only reason why they're able to do this and get away with it is because they open up these faulty, fake-ass, backdoor, investigations. All right, so besides the few gang stalkers that were out here wearing their orange shirts, trying to just do whatever they do, there was also a small family, 3 people with them, 2 adults and a very young child that were out there every single day when I stepped outside first thing in the morning. Not a day this week went by that they weren't already out there. This morning, the father of the family unit, of this occult family unit, was actually getting ice. So, again, it's directly related to the just ice spiritual symbolism or the encrypted, messaging, whatever. This is so retarded. But so there was also a truck out in the parking lot from the Air Force. So I did notice that as well. And so another one of the things too is apparently I'm suffering with extreme daddy issues. And so the family unit that comes out, or the person that's literally there every single day harassing me, generally, more often than not, tends to look identical to my biological father. So this is their way of punishing or torturing, facilitating a psychological torture chamber by, making their target or victim of the psychological attrition see the person that has rejected or neglected them the absolute most, to induce artificial flashbacks so that they will self-isolate, self-depress, become totally self-pity party, the whole 9 yards, get anxiety, be totally helpless and totally hopeless. So good thing I luckily got the whole family on camera. Of course, nobody ever gets away with it. They think that they are so smart. They'll never get caught. So, but my point was basically more or less this. Of course, people who are exploited for profit, of course, they're going to have some sort of an emotional reaction. That's normal. That's healthy. I mean, how would you feel if I exploited you and you didn't know that you were making me rich? It's really hypocritical of these things to understand that safety and privacy is important for them and their loved ones and their families, but to not understand how that would be the case for the person that they're targeting. Kind of retarded, kind of retarded. And so in the event that their victim and their target is not mentally ill and is not suicidal, then the target is due and owed restitutions, because you can't manipulate everybody in the world, clearly. All right, and so of course they think that it's their job to control everybody in the world, and when somebody can't be controlled by the narcissist or by this cult of collectivism and collective narcissism, or this collective cult mind or mob mentality, whatever you want to call it, when they can't control somebody by the means of manipulation or exploitation, and then, they can't control them, then that's when they go in to completely dehumanize them, and by dehumanizing them, they destroy every aspect of the target or victim's life. And this is a goal. This is the ultimate goal. This is the ultimate psyop. This is the ultimate conspiracy. So yeah. So, but another one of the things that I wanted to go over is, like I said before, technology-enabled coercive control, or this gang stalking hypersimulation, won't let me leave without being stalked, maliciously harassed, abused by proxies, and basically just won't let me leave without being terror stalked as a form of torment and also as a form of punishment. So it is not likely that I'll meet my husband ever. So if I were to ever be single and to, step out, this gang stalking hypersimulation has been designed for me to basically be put right into the arms of a drug dealer, human trafficker, rapist, pedophile, like scumbag. So, like murderer, scumbag. So it is really interesting because I've sat back and I've watched how they do this, and I've even got it on camera. So it, of course, when you have the evidence that I have and you're able to provide this evidence that I've provided on my show, then they just up the ante. They up the MK Ultra, they up the PSYOP, they up the dose. They just try to make you even more scared so that they can try to control what comes out of your mouth. And in an attempt to silence so-called whistleblower. But again, if you didn't target me illegally, there would be nothing for me to blow. So, and none of the documents that I've shared on my program are a national security risk. They are all easily available and can be easily, instantly obtained by doing a quick Google search for yourself. So, another little manipulative tactic right there. But like I said, they're relentless and they just do not stop. And one of the things I wanted to go over is, while I'm on the topic of exposing corruption, since this seems to be my full-time job now, and of course they continue to focus on all the petty things that I do, all the things that make me human. They don't know what it feels like to be human anymore. They're completely out of touch. And so, that's what leads them to ultimately commit conspiracy in the first place. So, yeah. So anyways, so exposing corruption is now my job. And so one of the things this welfare lady did when I went to apply for welfare recently, and I just wanted you guys to know that this is how they manipulate at the welfare office. So she actually changed the date for my revision plans, which, when you take into consideration the hyper simulation of gang stalking and how unstable things already are for these people who are going in to apply for welfare or apply for resources that they shouldn't be in the first place. So, but anyways, my point is, things are already so rocky at that point that changing the date is a manipulative tactic, in my opinion, and it's my theory that they do this on purpose to try to throw you off so you'll miss your appointment, so that way you will not get services going forward, because ultimately they can't help you. They don't want to help you. So this is their way of being discriminatory within that public facility, so in the welfare office. And I will just like to say that the lady that works there in the front at the welfare office here in Moses Lake, she was very sweet. She was very kind. She did mention the fact that there was a huge gap in my employment on my resume. So I think that was really interesting how she harassed me a little bit on that. And however, she offered to sign me up for volunteer work. And I guess the reason why I'm mentioning this now is because I'm already volunteering my time full time, on the show, and when I'm wearing my t-shirts out here, when I'm driving my car with the bumper stickers on it. I'm already doing full-time volunteer work, and that should be good enough. And so my point is that, if the role were reversed, they would be telling me beggars can't be choosers. So why is it that they get to be beggars who choose what type of fucking volunteer work? That volunteer work is fucking volunteer work. Goddamn. Really? Like I said, beggars can't be choosers. Volunteer work is volunteer work, okay? You need to count that as my volunteer work. What the fuck? Why not? And so going forward, this is something that I'm going to be protesting as well. Us YouTubers, or those of us who have programs or shows who don't get paid, that the welfare needs to start counting that as their volunteer work, because it is. Beggars can't be choosers, and that's the same exact thing that they would tell us if it were us. And see, here's the thing with these suicide squads, and here's the problem that I have is, they can't manipulate everybody into committing suicide. Not even in the event that these people can get a job or even welfare. They're still not going to be manipulated into committing suicide. So the people that are not going to be, suicidal or mentally ill, you really need to double check your own self too, calling me mentally ill when you know damn well you've set the stage for me to commit suicide every single day for the past 3 years at least, and I'm not even suicidal, so you need to check your fucking self. So, but that's besides the point. My point is, I invested a lot of money into myself, at the very least, to be able to find my own husband. And so one of the ways that they force female targets into oppressed population is by sexually oppressing them. And like I said, I've already done the work necessary to change my life around, to change the whole entire world, and to essentially find a nice husband to settle down with and to continue living my life with. Apparently that's too much to ask, since me having or obtaining any real love or not ever being loved, or having a family, or having any love or support. The reason why this is necessary for them to achieve, or this is a goal, is so that way, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can facilitate this suicide squad or this synthetic suicide programming. So, but it's so funny because the people who don't love me are the most obsessed with me. So what do you call that then? And it is just really interesting because these people who swear that they don't care, they keep tabs on me more than they do their own kin. They keep me closer than they do their own friends and family. And I thought you swore you didn't care. You were just doing all this so that way I can attempt to commit suicide, go crazy, and eventually die. But you're still giving that person more attention than you give your own children. You should check yourself before you come for me, boo. Like I said, you can't manipulate or coerce every single person on the planet that you don't like to commit suicide because you've successfully exploited them. It's kind of also, like I said, it's kind of retarded for you to prioritize your own safety and not think that would be a priority to your enemy. Like, what does it matter who you like? Nobody cares. Unless you're literally paying them, they don't care. I promise you that. They don't give a fuck about you. And not only that, but the same people, like I said, the same people who swear they don't care about me check for me like if I'm their god. So what do you call that? I thought you said you don't care. Why are you checking for me? Why are you gossiping about me? If you don't care, you don't care, right? You're already doing too much. If you gotta say you don't care, you're already doing too much. You're already saying too much. And so I'm going to keep protesting, and hopefully we'll get some change as to volunteer work, because I don't think that beggars should be choosers. Volunteer work is volunteer work. What does it matter what I'm doing? If it's volunteer, it's volunteer. If it's nonprofit, it's nonprofit. I'm already doing more than you're doing. So, yeah, no. And, I hate to get ratchet, but I almost have to. I feel compelled. I feel coerced, okay, to get a little bit ratchet and just to go ahead and say, women like myself, Divine C, Da Vinci, we do not apply for housing. Bitch, we still your man. Period. And so, like I was saying, in regards to the vehicles that are Lexus make and model, it's almost like the Illuminati once they fully exploit and traffic, because they're all traffickers. If you're watching Joe Rogan, you're placating to a literal murderer. A literal murderer. So and the same rule applies for all of these mafioso men in Hollywood. So the Lexus, though, the make model Lexus, it's almost like they keep trying to tell their target or their victim, take the L, take the L, take the L, which, by the way, they're the ones that can't take the L. Like, quite literally, they have a whole entire empire of people they hire to make sure they never have to do that. And also to make sure that their scapegoat is responsible for taking all of their L's and all of their blames. It should be some other vehicle, you know, since it's actually the blame that they're projecting and not the L. But I guess I can see how taking the L in the Lexus is kind of like, you know, that kind of goes hand in hand or whatever. But I think it's interesting too, because take the L is so outdated. What an outdated phrase. Can we get some new phrases? Isn't that what artists like me are for, so that I can update these fucking dusty ass phrases in the first place? Expired. All right, so you know, I said I was gonna go over the abuse by proxy a little bit today, but I think I'm gonna save that for another program, because I have a lot going on today. I'm actually traveling to Seattle right now, so please excuse me if this video tends to be all over the place, just like my last one. My life is kind of very fast paced right now because I've been doing a lot of traveling, so I'm doing the best that I can to keep everybody updated, and I hope that that you all can get out there and enjoy the rest of your Father's Day weekend. And happy Father's Day to all of the single mothers and all of the fathers as well. And of course, have a beautiful weekend. I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. Peace.